Ready to start?
Yep.
I'd go ahead and call the August 26th golf course and budget board meeting to order. I'll start with roll call. I'm sorry, I may butcher names. Rick McCown.
Here.
Marshall
Countess.
Act. Marshall Alvin. John May.
Here.
Paul Meyer.
Here.
Philip. Slooker.
Present.
So all here. Moving on to approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda as written? What was that?
Should I move to be approved?
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And motion passes unanimously, the approval of the agenda. Next, we have the approval of the previous month's minutes. Does anybody have any changes to the minutes as written?
Move that be approved.
All right, motion,
Second the motion to approve.
all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion to approve the May 20th meeting minutes as written is unanimous. Any public today? So no public is here to be heard. Moving on to communication.
Sam, you want to go first?
Sam,
Sure.
I'll let you start.
Alrighty. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Been a while. It's been kind of nice. I mean, nice to see you guys, but it's kind of nice. Keith and I had a little conversation today. You know, these meetings always fall on our day off, and so we typically get Mondays off. So, at any rate, I'm not complaining. I'll make it sound like it.
That's how we took it, just saying.
Just saying. At any rate, another great month. July, we came in at 347,741 actual revenue, which is up 15,000, almost 16,000 over prior year. Rounds, actually slightly down, 7,001, 115 rounds down, but revenue per round is great. Kind of noticing a little bit of gaps, kind of in our middle day. Dan, I think him and his guys kind of like it. You know, they can
Gives
be
you a
working some
chance.
work done, but starting to see that. Are you seeing that, Keith?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Like the midday gap?
I think it was so hot. I definitely saw it in July.
Yeah. I think a lot of it's the heat, but it was hot last year too. I just think our golfers are getting a little more picky, but I don't see anything to get too concerned about yet. I mean, the rounds are still pretty amazing. But just starting to see that little bit of a gap in the midday, so I don't know. Keep an eye on it. We're getting towards the end of the season here, but it's something we're going to try to keep an eye on. I mean, it may get to the point where we might want to start maybe thinking that there's a dynamic pricing, you know, the other direction during certain time periods, but something to think about, nothing to jump the gun on yet. Looking at August, I think we are about around 10,000 ahead of prior year's month to date. But last year, this was going into a weekend, 27th to 28th, so that may balance itself out. But either way, I think we're going to be real close to last year's numbers for August as well. So it's all good. Any questions?
No questions? Keith?
All right. We ended up in July at about a little over 3,000 down. So 236 in 2023 and 232,992 in 2024. And Sam's right, there was definitely Twin Peaks. I don't know how closely you guys all follow the way golf courses fill up, but typically Twin Peaks is the last course to fill up on a week-to-week, weekend-to-weekend basis. I know this because I asked the customers on Saturday morning, where'd y'all come from? Oh, we came from Golden, couldn't find a place anywhere else to play. Get that a lot. And that's okay, I'm okay with that. But in a month when we had so many record high temperatures and it was just a hot, burning hot month, that last course to fill up may not have quite the revenue month that we did the previous year. So that's the only way I'm, kind of explaining that one for sure. This month, the weather's been a little bit better, and we're up $12,000 right now over last year in August. So when the weather's good, we're busy. And it was interesting in July when it was hot early, I could see it slow down, and then it got nice for about 10 days, and it picked right back up, and then it got hot, and it slowed right back down. So that's kind of what we're seeing. But all in all, it's been a great year. And then, these summer months where we keep exceeding, $230,000 plus in revenue. I can remember back in the days when, we'd make 120 and be jumping up and down. So we're still really doing well. And things are going very good.
How do you project such an increase in the number of rounds and yet so little increase in revenue?
Are you comparing last year's rounds and this year's rounds at Twin Peaks? Can you say that?
Yeah.
Because last year's rounds, I messed up. We had, staff was checking in people that had prepaid times, that they weren't bringing in the round as a round. So by the end of the year, it all got rang in and all got caught up. But right now, those both months of May, June, July, August, it was about this time last year I figured this out. Jeff and I had a nice conversation about how come our rounds are so close to Sunset's rounds in terms of volume. And so then I started looking back at the tee sheets and rounds weren't getting rung in. We were getting all the money, so the money was there, but the rounds weren't getting rung in. So that's why you're seeing that skew. I will say this year, every round's rung in when it's supposed to be, on the day it's supposed to be, league rounds, prepaid rounds, all of it. So next year you'll have a lot better picture of that. Does that make sense? Okay. So otherwise, really good. Things are going well.
Would you mind covering Ryan's numbers?
Sure. So it looks like Sunset had a good month. They were just a little over 1,000 plus ahead in revenue, 108, 190, 106, 562, so 1,600 over. 16.76 up for the year at Sunset, and here they are, actual revenue of 492, 340. I was a pro at Sunset. Bill remembers this back in the day. And I don't know, 492, I don't think we ever had an entire year of 492.
As you say, it was like 450 was the top end.
Yeah, I mean, we were really pleased
It was like
with that.
454 was
Yeah. So my point is, back in the day, that's amazing. Here we are with 5 months still to go, and so Sunset's doing really well. Their rounds are coming in 51.66, and they're over in the rounds as well. 22,206 rounds for the year. So yeah, they're on track, having a great year. So, any questions for Sunset?
Any questions? Thank you. Next up, old business. Update.
Yep. Ryan will start, and then Dan has some news that occurred, and you got just a little bit of information to show you.
We'll start with Dan here on this computer.
Are you ready to go?
Sure.
All right.
Alright, well, as everybody knows,
I'm surprised he's even talking to us.
you can't wipe the smile off my face right now.
Am I in your way, Rick?
No.
Okay.
So, as everybody knows, we've been working on the new maintenance facility, and we got substantial completion a week ago, 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago. So on Wednesday, we got to start moving in. So we took Wednesday through Wednesday, moved, got our mechanic all set up. So he's in there, he's working, moved all the other stuff down, and I felt that we were in a good spot to start from there. So we started from there last Thursday. And it was pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. There's lots of room. spread out. The mechanic feels like he can spread out and do his thing, and we're still just, you know, kind of working on getting ourselves set, you know. So I took the pictures just today. Jeff told me about 1:30. Hey, can you make a quick slideshow? So pictures are still a mess, kind of a mess, but it'll show you exactly where we're at. So this is our equipment building. This will house all the equipment, and like I got all the T-mowers, greens mowers over on the north side. This middle area here has fairway mowers right along here. The rough mower sits here, and this is all still kind of open to be able to figure out what to do with it, and you'll be able to see inside here in a minute. So here's the maintenance building. Here's break room. Offices sit back here. You can kind of see in there to the mechanics work area. That other door to the south there is the indoor wash bay, and then on the end of there we have an irrigation room and a chemical room. So here is the inside of the maintenance building, or the equipment building. This is looking to the north. You'll see all the triplexes are laid out there. Fairway mowers sit here, and like I said, this area is still all nice and open. This is looking to the south. So that whole area there is still going to try to be able to figure out exactly what's going to go where. This is inside, so we had to design it with a little slope. So this area sits down lower than the other area. So we're going to use this as storage for like carts, stuff we don't use very often, and then our whole wall of shovels and rakes and tools that the guys use on a daily basis. So this is the south end of the equipment building. So here's inside the mechanics work area. This is looking towards the south. You can see here's our grinding room. That's a parts room. He's got an office back here. And this is the new thing that he's been loving the most. That's a golf lift, so you can set basically any type of equipment that you have, get it up off the ground so he's not rolling around in the dirt or concrete or all that. So that's been huge to get that. He's used that the 3 days every day since we've been in there. And then this is looking towards the north. Here's the electrical room there, and then you'll see here, and then we have all these power cords hanging down here for when we start getting electric carts. Like we have 3 of them right now, so we'll pull them in here and we can just pull those cords right down and be able to, he doesn't have onboard chargers, so you can just plug right into there and they're all set to go. You don't have to be moving chargers all around and winding up cords, so that part's pretty cool. And then here's the break room that we have. As you can see, we still putting stuff together, but this is looking out towards the east, and got somewhat of a kitchen there, refrigerator. This will be where our job board sits. We're gonna get a digital job board. Just gotta work our way through ETS. So, and then the offices and stuff are on the west side of that building there. So
That also serves as the training area.
yep. Training videos, safety videos, all that stuff is done in there. So there you go. That's a quick and dirty view of it, but yeah, super excited, and it's been fun to try to figure out where everything's gonna go and lay it out the way we want. So
Congratulations.
yeah, thanks.
What a process.
Yeah, thanks to everybody.
Quick question, Jeff, from the board, is it possible to have a board meeting there?
Yes, it's on my agenda to talk to you about later.
Yeah.
And the other thing I just would add is it has been a long time coming. I mean, the bond issue passed in November of 2018, and I can't say enough for all the work that Dan did, and even more so than Dan, Sharice Montgomery was our project manager. You know Sharice. Yeah, and Sharice has been with the city for 3 or 4 years now.
She came on right then for our opening was right after.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
So I just can't imagine what it would have been like without her being there. So
She did all the hard stuff.
Yeah, big thank you to her. We worked with Phipps to do the work, and they were excellent as a contractor to work with. We probably have 2 months to get all of the punch list items done, and then we'll get our permanent occupancy and be ready to to roll.
Yeah.
How did actuals come to projections? Do we
From
over our budget?
original,
Yeah.
or recent.
Dare I
projections.
ask, how about recent?
Well, we came within budget.
Oh, good.
And actually had very few change orders built into the contract. I think it was $95,000 for change orders. And I think last I had heard we had used all but $500 of that.
Nice.
But we had planned for about a 15% contingency and didn't really have to touch any of that. So that money will just go back to the golf fund balance,
Okay.
which is really good.
Nice.
And yes, at our next meeting, we would like to hold it out there.
We'll go on a tour. Bring your walking shoes. Bring your walking shoes. There's a lot of space in
A lot of
between.
space in between there.
Get my steps in now for sure.
Ready?
Yeah.
All right, following along with Dan presenting about his project, I also have a little update how the irrigation project's going here at Twin Peaks. Right now, we've kind of been in a holding pattern. Not much work has been done since we met last. The construction crew left. It was at probably about first part of May to head off to their summer projects. We've had a few construction guys around all summer working on a few odds and ends. So just a few refreshers here. This is about as updated map as I have still. So everything from the driving range to the west has been completed on the new irrigation system. Everything on the back nine is still the old system running off the new pump station. Even with the new pump stations, we've noticed quite a improvement on the back nine, showing that how tired the old pumps really were. And so the one thing we've been working on the most this summer is kind of dialing everything in. Here on the right, or my right, your left shows our new greens coverage. So we now have 5 dedicated sprinkler heads for every green. So right now we have really good coverage on the greens. We're having to actually turn stuff down a whole lot more than what we used to. And then on the other end of all these ones, we have heads coming out for the berms. So now every inch of the berms in the greens area are completely covered. And then this other picture shows kind of what we've been working on through the summer is throughout the new system, we're still finding a little bit of construction material through the pipes. So every once in a while, we'll find a group of heads that are plugged and we'll find some pipe shavings inside of it. So part of the process when they fuse the pipe is they have to shave the part of the pipe that touches the outside atmosphere and make a clean surface for it to bond together. So that fell into the pipe when they were doing that process. And every once in a while we find a group of heads that are still plugged, so we have to go and take all the valves out, flush them out, put them back together, and then they're looking like the other picture. So just a little bit of dialing everything in. Our biggest thing we've been working on, which happened within the last month that we found out had a few hiccups to it. We have now started running off our central computer, which shows showed on the left there. Before, we just been running local programs off our satellites where we program a set amount of time for each sprinkler head and everything just runs. Right now, since we're on central computer, we can dial in each head specifically, run it down to what every area needs to give it the right head. So if you're out golfing at Twin Peaks and notice some areas have been a little drier than normal, wetter than normal, we've still been dialing everything in, and we've been on our central computer probably, well, I think it's probably the first part of August when we first got that hooked up. We found out that the communication wire that runs from that to the field had a few nicks in it and causing interference, and we had to replace, or the construction company had to come back and replace a few sections of wire and fix a few issues with the electrical power for the boxes also. So now that we have that all done, we've been running off our central computer, which is a huge upgrade for us now. And another part, this last week was installed. If you've been out here and noticed this sitting back behind 17 Green, this is our weather station. So this will talk to our central computer. So once everything is hooked up and wired together and calibrated a little better, we're still working through some bugs. This weather station will talk to our computer and it'll adjust run times for every sprinkler down to what the weather conditions the weather station gives, and the computer feels it needs to put out the right amount of water for those given conditions. So that's really cool and really big technological advancement for our irrigation system. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what kind of improvements you see off of the weather station being hooked up. Right now, we've had a couple of the construction guys come back, and they've been working on putting in the locations for the new satellites out in the back nine. So the full construction crew, when they come back, can kind of connect the dots between the new satellites. Over here on the left shows one of the pedestals they start digging the holes for the sweeps. Here's the pedestals you'll see out on the back nine if you go out there. And then here's a picture of just kind of the same one as before, just to show what the new satellites will look like on the back nine. So once they put in the main line and the sprinkler systems, all the wires will come back to these areas, hook up in the boxes, and then we'll have control to all those new areas on the back nine. And here's just a couple of pictures I took today, if anyone remembers. So we have on the left here is the west side of 2 Fairway by the concrete ditch, and then here's looking down 1 to the west from the tee box. If anyone remembers those in the past, by this time of year, this whole right side of 1 is usually pretty brown because of the lack of coverage. And then the whole west side of number 2 here was dirt, because there was no coverage over there. So this one here on 2 shows how much seed has came in just in the few months since the construction company left in May. So all the seed they put down is germinated. So as time goes, and then once we get into better seeding conditions here in the fall, I'll probably put down some more seed. And we're hoping to have some really nice turf along the west side of number 2 there. But to me, this shows some of the biggest differences and improvements of the new irrigation system. Shows now that we have full coverage wall to wall, we should have nice green turf everywhere on the golf course now. And then one of the other areas we had seeded was around the lake banks when we had the dredging done. So this area from about water coming back, that was all the new material they reshaped for when the lakes were dredged out. So we have the lake banks seed starting to grow in, so that's going to work real nice for some erosion control, so the dirt doesn't slough back down into the lake or on the edges. And I just have a few slides here of what moving forward in the next couple months, what we're expecting. So throughout the summer, ACC, our construction company, has been in and out between their projects. When they come back, they've been leveling sprinkler heads. If we notice, some have been settling as we go. They've been helping us to adjust the throw on the sprinkler heads to make sure each sprinkler is hitting the area it's designed to hit. And then adding any backup nozzles we notice we need, if something needs a little bit more water in an area, or if we need something to throw behind a park circle. And then, like I mentioned a little bit ago, we had some new communication wire pulled from 6T to 9T. That leg, this could have been a bad chunk of wire. Something could have got damaged on the install. We don't really know, but that was keeping part of the south side of the golf course on the front nine from talking and creating interference so the computer couldn't talk to the satellites. Now that it's fixed, everything's hooked up and working like it's supposed to. And then also, they'll be working on setting the new satellite pedestals on the back nine. So as of right now, we had our construction meeting not last week, but the week before, kind of touching base with the construction company. Right now, they are anticipating to start mobilizing from their current projects they're working on, start coming back around Halloween, end of October, and looking to get things started, to start on the back nine. And as of right now, we're still on target to be our projected completion date of December of this year. So, anyone have any questions? Yes?
Of course I do. How many satellites do you have out there?
Currently we have, well, the old system had 28. With the new system and the new design, because we pretty much doubled our sprinkler heads, but each satellite can control 64 stations. So as we sit, we'll have 32.
32, and I assume they're not cheap?
No.
I'm curious, is there any sort of, and I might be being overcautious here, but is there any sort of notion about protecting these satellite boxes from equipment, tractors, errant golf carts, etc.?
We put them in places where they're a little less obvious, so we'll try to protect them in areas out of play, out of driving, areas around tee boxes, around greens. A lot of them are tucked by trees, so that way they're bigger things, but as much as we try to protect them, it's still part of it.
Okay, but you're comfortable with it then?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Okay.
We've, in some shape and form, there's been satellite boxes out here since the course has been built, and I can think of a handful of times a satellite gets knocked over. But these ones, being plastic, have a little bit more give to them.
Okay.
And
Okay.
it's part of it.
Just curious. Okay.
Any other questions? Yes.
I've gotten very involved in the water, in Longmont, etc. And it's becoming more and more of an issue for the city. And how we use the water, how residents are using water, how HOAs are using water, etc. And involved in a lot of stuff. What protection do you have that you aren't using, quote, too much water? What, I don't know if you've got any even if you do have how much water you used last year, the year before that. One of the problems you run into in trying to measure year to year, of course, is that last year was the most rainy year in the last 40, 50 years. You know, so you typically wouldn't have used so much water as you're going to use this year. And then, you know, in 2022, we almost used about, quote, the average rainfall for Longmont. So there's a lot of analysis going on about water usage versus, you know, rainfall. And one of the questions we keep getting is, how do you know? Everybody wants green grass. So one of the things they're recommending, and they're in Longmont City is giving grants is for you to remove the grass so that you don't use the water. And so, you know, at some point in time, I gotta believe we got 3 golf courses that must be using a lot of water.
I would agree with that.
And so the question becomes, how do we defend ourselves in that we're all precautions and we're doing everything appropriately, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
So with the design of this course, it was estimated that we should save between 30 and 37%. And so that's a significant savings. And then also there's the power savings as well. I think one of the challenges, it's gonna take a while for us to get everything dialed in to be able to know for sure how much water we really are saving. You know, Ryan talked a little bit about trying to get the system onto the central controller, and he really underplayed the amount of work that he had to do to make that happen. And like he said, we're still out there identifying hot spots or overly wet spots. I think one of the things that Keith would really point out is the potential of being around the green going to be so much better than it used to be, where we had to overwater at the top and then it was always soggy at the bottom. And with the new system, it really should reduce the amount of water that we're using. So I feel pretty comfortable with that. I think the next step would be is identifying, do we need to have wall-to-wall green grass or bluegrass, or can it start being a little bit more like out at U Creek with some of the taller grasses? The challenge you run into there is pace of play, because the grass gets too tall and people are taking too much time to find the ball.
The other, Safe Green School District is putting in product wherever they have grass. It's a relatively new product. But what it does, especially for our areas where we have clay ground, is that it makes the grass roots go deeper, so they can use less water to keep it green. I don't know if that's anything you ever want to consider on the golf course or not. There's several products out there. Some are pretty damn expensive, but there are some. It sounds sort of crazy, but there's a product coming out of California that farmers are using to do exactly that, and that's pretty relatively inexpensive. So I don't know if, we've had people come out, I can't remember names, Northern Water, blah, 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 and to measure our grass roots, and it turns out in our HOA, the grass roots were like 3/4 of an inch. We put this product on, and 2 years later, the grass roots were 1 3/4 to 2 inches. That's a huge difference in, we've got the, what do you call it, bluegrass. And so we use a lot less water and the grass stays green. And even if it gets, brownish, it's not dying. So, and I don't know if that's anything we would have to consider or not, or whatever, in the long-term things. But I'm just concerned because of what's going on in the city of Longmont and what they're trying to do and water in general. I just think that at some point in time we're going to be hit with that. I think, spending the dollars, like having a lift station, etc., is anybody that's concerned about water is going to say that's money well spent. They're going to say that. That's really neat, So if you get rain, you shut off the system, etc. That is really, really, really important. And there's other things you can get that are pretty expensive, but they can measure the humidity and decide whether you need more water or less water, etc. Especially if it's expensive stuff. But I just don't know what kind of questions not this year or 2 years down the road or 3 years down the road we're going to get. At least I want to be prepared to be able to answer these questions and know that we're doing probably ecologically the right thing. I just let it off my
To that end, and Jeff's point exactly, and Ryan as well, this new system is so much more efficient than the old system. It is unbelievable. And the green surfaces this year have been so good, and yet down at the bottom of the mounds, it's not a swamp. So Yes, in some places and in some instances, yes, but very rarely. So this is the best I've seen the greens in the 19 years I've been here.
You know, would it be a good thing to do sometime when we get this system in to say that, you know, there's a new irrigation system and it's going to save water?
I think we'll ultimately do that.
You know, because I just think it's really, really important.
Get that message out.
Well, that's why I went through this process and did the irrigation audit with the old system, showing exactly what we had and what we will have,
Right.
to have some numbers.
I didn't know if we did audits or not. We've done audits, you know, RHOA a lot, got involved in the city.
That's a perfect opportunity for what we talked about a few meetings ago, an article for the little newsletter that goes out with the utility bills. To let the residents know that positive things are being done.
Okay. Right now, just from dialing everything in, it's hard to tell water since we've been using a lot more than we would in a normal year, just for the fact we've been flushing out the debris. The construction company's been dialing stuff in, we've been dialing things in. But just based off of amount of runtime to keep an area green, on the greens before we have 10, 15 minutes on the green head. Right now we're down to 5. So it's just, right now I can only base it off of time since that's the one consistent factor I've been working with right now. But once everything gets set and a little more consistent, we'll have a better idea. We have flow meters everywhere that shows how much we're using.
And one of the things that we had to do, we had empty audits. Our system was put in 1986 in the wilderness. And now there's all these holes around, so the pressure from one side to the other is different, etc. And what we ended up doing is putting in pressure sensitive heads. So if you wanted an inch of water in 15 minutes, you got an inch of water, you know, over there and over there and over there because the heads were pressure sensitive. And I don't even know if that's something
Well, so
concerned about.
that most HOA and stuff is block systems, so one valve runs numerous heads at one time. We have valve and head, so each head can be controlled individually. So kind of like what Jeff said a little bit ago, finding those areas do we really need to be green wall to wall. If we decide we need to save water, we can turn down all the heads on the perimeter and still leave the interior. So we have we had, and now we have an even better capability of controlling stuff area to area. So each head that throws the 75-foot spacing, we have control down to the second on pretty much every inch of this golf course.
I just want us to be able to defend ourselves. That's all.
We are in a better position to defend ourselves now than we have been in 35 years.
So I think it's good though, you know, that's really impressive and important.
I think the challenge we're gonna face is at sunset. And because it's potable water, that's a little different impact than the 2 other golf courses that all use, you know, ditch water. So I think that will be one of the first things we'll be challenged with as we move forward. All right, that's our update for the bond projects.
All right, moving on to new business.
So the next 2 items came out of our January meeting, and I think you might have been the one that suggested these 2 items. Barriers for new golfers, and Rick identified one earlier. And then activities for non-golfers. So, Ann, did you have anything you wanted to talk about specifically?
Not specifically, no.
Okay. All right. So based on your experience as golfers, what do you think are challenges to people either beginning the game, coming out as often as maybe we'd like. Do you have any thoughts? Rick?
I do. Sum it up in one word: intimidation. I remember my first time going out on tee box and having the guy in front of me hit it 270 yards, and I could only pop it 200. It was like, holy cow, I can't play this game. And I wasn't ready to give up, but now I can reach him, so I'm okay.
Teach me how.
So, and then the other thing I think would be frustration. There's a lot of golfers, beginners in particular, that come out and they're just not ready to be on the course. I hate to say it that way, but my wife wisely said, "Take me to the range, take me to the range, take me to the range." She probably went there half a dozen times before she stepped on the course, just in order not to be so incredibly frustrated about playing. Because you know they're going to have a high score and they're going to get frustrated. And the more they feel comfortable swinging a golf club, the less frustrated they're likely to get. So.
I think part of the barriers too is knowing, I want to say, the etiquette of a golf course, which you don't get from the range. I mean, and so if you show up and are a twosome and paired with another twosome, and that twosome has a pretty strong opinions, they can make it difficult for somebody who, you know, might not know their way around, you know, someone else's ball on the green, or all the things that everyone here probably takes for granted.
On that, Keith and Sam, do we do any education for people about etiquette or anything? Don't we have something on the golf?
It's spelled out on our card that we hand out. But typically when somebody's new to the game, they're playing golf with somebody they know that knows the game. And there's things that you can do to make it more enjoyable. For example, I took my 5-year-old grandson out twice this year. We'll both tee off, pick his ball up, go to my drive, hit a couple more shots, pick his up, and just keep it moving. And it's enjoyable. Adults need to do the same thing. Get your tee shot, pick it up, go to the furthest drive, playing from there. You know, there's things that you can do to not feel intimidated. You got a guy out there that's hitting every shot 40 yards, just ducking it. That's extraordinarily frustrating. That's why you just pick it up and just, you know, learn to develop a pace. And that's one of the best tips that I think to take a new golfer out.
I would say yes. There's so many ways you can do it. What you said, what was really smart there, is that most people that play golf are playing golf with someone that knows how to play golf. So that's really helpful to them. It goes all the way down to our basic junior golf stuff. When we do junior golf on Tuesday mornings, we have an hour and a half of fun time / lesson time. And then at 11:30, I pair all the kids up. They meet me, and I pair them into foursomes. A lot of times these kids don't even know each other. And I'll put them in groups and say, you're group one. And I make them handle their money. So speaking to the intimidation factor, I make them handle their cash money. They walk upstairs, they walk to the front counter. The guy standing at the front counter says, what group are you? We're group 2. Check, check, check. They all pay their money. They come in, they pay their money for lunch. They go out to the golf course. We got people on the tee boxes, and we have people out there monitoring them to keep them safe, but we want them to be independent. So they're out there playing, and based on their ability, I tell them where they should play. So we have, let's say we have younger kids who don't hit it very far. We go all the way up. I don't know if you've all noticed, but we have orange tee markers at Twin Peaks. Those are beginner tee markers. So when we got little children who can't hit the ball very well, we send them all the way up there. And on every hole, this kind of furthers your point, Sam. On every hole, each child gets 6 shots. If their ball's not on the green in 6 shots, they pick it up, they carry it to the green. Once they get on the green, they get 4 putts. If it's not in the hole in 4 putts, they pick it up, they go to the next hole. So it's 6 shots, 4 putts. Do not get in front of each other, so that way nobody gets hit with a ball. And I'm constantly using that even for the folks that I give lessons to. All the beginner folks that I teach. one of the first things they learn early on, because they are intimidated when they come. I point over there to the orange tee markers on number 18, and I say, all you got to do is hit it 30, 40 yards 6 times, and you're on the green, and you can play golf. And I'm telling them this in their second lesson. And I tell them that their only job is to keep up with the group in front of them. Don't be worried about the group behind you. You keep up with the group in front of you, and you'll be just fine. No one can say anything. Now, if you're out there taking 7 practice swings and then missing it, followed by 7 more practice swings, that's a problem. Okay? You walk up and you hit it, and you go find it and you hit it again. And the better you get, the easier it is. But giving people that independence on the golf course, I think, is massive.
You know, that's an interesting point you make, because we have a vernacular, and I don't know if it's as prevalent as it was when I was growing up, but men's tees and ladies' tees.
Yeah, it's not like that anymore.
And well, actually, I hear it occasionally, but
Yeah.
I try to tell people it's not men's, ladies, pros, it's handicap.
Yeah.
And if you have a high handicap, move up.
Yes.
So, I mean, that's another point I think I hear occasionally, that don't, go ahead, move up, it's okay, it's okay.
That stigma is getting so much better.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it
Because
is.
us growing up, it was always the ladies' team.
Yep.
Was the forward team.
Yep.
I can't tell you how many of the older guys, can't hit the ball as far as they used to. They have no problem going up to the forward tees.
I'm happy to see that. I'm happy to see
Really,
that too. Yeah.
it's really improved.
And our men's club actually has tournaments now where you can play whatever tee box you want. So we got guys playing red tees, we got guys playing white tees and blue tees,
And that's perfect.
all in the same event.
That's perfect.
Because the course is handicapped and rated from each individual tee box. And I'm gonna insist they do it even all the way up to the golds. Now, obviously, the guy that's a 16 handicap from the whites is going to be maybe a 12 handicap from the golds.
Right.
Does that make sense? He's going to get less
Yeah.
shots.
Yeah.
But he's going to have an easier time, because it can't be, all that much fun for that guy from the white tees to hit driver 3-wood on every hole. So being able to move up and give people opportunities to hit 7 irons and 8 irons and 9 irons into greens. Big difference. And so there's a lot more of that now than there used to be.
I think there is.
But you're still going to get a lot of folks that are out there that, and I saw 2 couples that led us off on Sunday morning. They teed off at 6:50. I come watching them, they're rolling in at a good solid 4 hours and, 33 minutes, coming up 18. They're playing a scramble format.
Yeah.
They're playing, but they're playing slow. So I'm over that. And what are you going to do? If the marshal goes over there and hollers at these folks, they were having a ball. You should have heard. And the people behind them seemed to be patient enough. They were a threesome. But I was just so thankful, because there we are in the morning. One of the biggest things, Sam, and I'm sure you will agree with this, one of the biggest differences I've seen in the last 20 years in golf, that foursome was 2 men and 2 women. The sheer volume of the ladies that are coming out to the golf course, and that comfort level from many, many ladies, so great on the weekends. It's really, yes, during the week we still have all of our core groups that play, but on the weekends, I'm out here on Sundays and say, I don't know 15 people. I really don't. The regulars are gone. And we have all these people coming in from out of town and it's couples and it's husbands and wives and many times you see 2 and 3, and I saw foursomes of ladies playing on the weekends.
We're getting so many more women.
It is
great.
so awesome to see, because that's the growth of the game. And the vast majority of people, I would say probably beginners that I teach, is easily 75% beginner women. So it's really exciting. And I still believe that there are going to be times when things slow down a little bit, but I do believe the game is still in a COVID burst and we're still growing. And I still think we're bringing a lot of new people to the game. But there's always going to be barriers. It's just tough. It's tough. And in your example of getting paired with 2 other people that are good golfers that know the difference, that's tough, because you can't really break it up into 2 twosomes. And people get paired up, and everyone's getting paired up. Now, what it does encourage people to do is find 2 others and play a foursome. I'll tell you what, that happens once or twice, and the next time they bring 4 people. But it's, the growth has been unbelievable.
Any other barriers that you feel like we should talk about?
I think one of the barriers that I perceive, and that is that we have a 9-hole golf course called Sunset here in town. And it's the most difficult course. And people think because it's a 9-hole, that it's an easy course to go play. But it isn't. It's narrow, it's out of bounds,
I think it's the hardest 9 holes of the 3 courses.
by far. By far, it is. And I know that there's probably not a way to say, come develop like a haystack was a 9-hole course. That was an easy course. But that's probably where I think in the long run where we have our biggest opportunity at some point down the road. Finding land would be another issue, but making even a shorter par 3 course, something that if we have somewhere, that we could make it so that people could develop their game in that setting versus trying to go to the 1 or 3 course that we have. Because I think that would take away a lot of the intimidation, a lot of the scariness, because you've got an opportunity there where all the holes are only 150 yards max or whatever, and it brings a different part to the game, and that kind of goes into the helping develop that for the next generation to start with. Your youth kids go and play there instead. They don't have to worry about, even if some are drivers or some are 7-irons, they can be on the tee box and still do the same club. It wouldn't matter.
Well, that's kind of what we've established here with our orange tee markers.
With the additional tee markers,
We've made it a beginner par 3. We have an 18-hole par 3 here, really. So,
and that's where I'm at.
Which is, I think that we can continue to do a better and better job of advertising that, letting people know, hey, if you're a beginner, just play the orange tees. And I let people know all the time when I'm working with them, but is that always said at the front counter? Maybe it could be said more. And you're not wrong about Sunset, because you have a lot of beginners out there, and all that does is slow the place down.
Exactly.
Because all they're doing is, running across the street and playing balls from the neighbor's yard.
Right. Or trying to find the ball or whatever. Yeah.
Never. You've seen it happen.
No, or they're taking 2 to 3 sleeves of golf balls because they keep losing them in the yards over fences and whatever else.
I have a question for Keith and Sam. We talked about the rounds played. Is that 18 holes or is that 9 holes?
Rounds around.
Doesn't matter.
But my point here is that a lot of people may think it's an 18-hole golf course. I got to go out and play 18 holes. I don't have time to play 18 holes. So if I knew or if I understood I could come out and play 9 holes, I'm just saying that could be a barrier.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious.
Well, we would prefer to encourage everyone to play 18 holes because that's going to maximize for us, particularly on the weekends and the mornings.
Right.
But I think most people know that they can just come out and play 9. And we do have a lot, especially in the afternoons, we have a lot of 9.
I wonder if newer golfers know that. Because I come over, I do both courses and I don't have time. I'll go play 9. So I'd rather play 18, but I'll play 9.
We get a lot of play off the back 9 on the weekends.
I believe that.
Yeah, when maintenance is not, when they're not here doing any work at all on the back 9, well, first hour and a half of the day, we'll send out a lot of golfers off the back 9.
Good. Okay.
In fact, I encourage a lot of folks. That's when I give my playing lessons. It's off the back 9 on Saturday or Sunday morning, because then I can get on.
Okay. Anything else? Marshall, Paul? Is there any new etiquette out there? Because music is now a thing, and 10 years ago that would have never been a thing.
It's great.
Music. Yeah, there are a lot of people that will have a speaker that get put on their cart and their phone's playing music while they're playing golf.
Just more of a lighter atmosphere, it's just the new folks that are coming. I do as well now. I love playing music in the morning. You Keith, you crank it?
Absolutely.
It's awesome.
It's really, golf has gone from what could be construed as an old country club stuffy sport to you get everybody out here now. It's really cool. And
that's what golf
you get. And everyone, for the most part, it's really interesting.
It makes it so much more fun.
When I'm out here on the weekends, it's just really interesting to watch the people. Because some are obnoxious, some are loud, some are quiet, some are just having fun, but everyone seems to mesh and get along pretty good. And you've got people coming from everywhere, just all sorts of different backgrounds and everything. It's just really never in my mind what I would, thought I would see. But now that the college kids are back, they're all backing up too, because they don't have haystack to go to anymore. Just the other reason we were down in July a little bit. There's no college kids around in July, so we have them in June for whatever reason. I think July is a very dead month, especially for summer school. And they all come back in August and every weekend.
Anything else on barriers? Activities for non-golfers. Open the bar. Well, the bar is better be open.
How was the concert you had the concert this
It
year?
was great. I mean, it was so much more than I thought it was going to be. No, like for our snack bar, it's usually like a one-person operation. So we brought in two to be safe. And unfortunately, we had somebody else our manager happened to be around, and she had to hop in. It was slammed because when people go to these outdoor events, there's always food trucks and stuff, and they go with the mindset they're going to have a bite to eat. And that just didn't. I don't know. We missed that one, but it worked. We made it happen. It was great. It went very good. I told Jeff, do it once a week. We'll get it. I mean, it was great.
I just think, and I'm happy to hear it, I'm seeing it, I have a close friend that she is the one that's like, she's making the tea times for her and her significant other, and there's 4 of them that go out, and like, the girls are driving it, and I remember when it was the opposite of that.
That's right.
The girls were always waiting for them to finish.
Yep.
So that's exciting, but it's also like, if you start getting pushback, like there's gonna be people who don't use the golf course, don't believe in the golf course, and so the use of water is gonna be a waste. Whereas if you can get those people to embrace the space as well,
Like fishing or something?
well, not, no, but like, thanks. Hey, I used to catch,
Wow.
I used to look for frogs as a kid, but yes, having them come out, being around the sport, being around the environment.
Why not?
There's a story behind that. I'm sorry. But we're just gonna
But that was my thought, is that, because back when the females that were intimidated to come to the golf course, if you gave them a reason to come where they didn't have to just play golf, and then they could, like, oh, this is a great, I want to come back. That was the idea behind the activities.
We get a lot of couples where, hey, my wife doesn't play or my husband doesn't play, and they'll just ride along and enjoy the day. Hop on the cart, get an extra cart, whatever, have some cocktails and enjoy the day without playing golf.
We get a lot of folks that just come up, literally just come up, no golf. They don't hit balls. They just come up, sit out in the patios and have drinks.
And we get that as well, especially in the evening.
Get a lot of that.
Watch the sunset, have some cocktails.
You got some views.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
That's right.
Both of you guys.
So yeah, we're very fortunate. We get a lot of that.
And we'll continue to do, a concert a summer and I think we're back here next year. We just don't have so recreation is actually the staff that organizes those events and really don't have the capacity. If it could be something where if we want to expand those opportunities, that we could work with some of the recreation staff, the temp staff, to do some additional hours where they could plan some of those events if we wanted to do more. But golf would have to pay the bill. Recreation's paying for it right now. Because for that very reason, we really want to have golf courses be for everybody. Whether it's a concert, walking your dog out here in the morning or in the evening, we really want people to be able to do that. I would like to see us at some point start expanding into some special events inside the buildings, whether it's tied to, you know, national championships or the World Series or the playoffs, that sort of thing, to tie into that. But again, that some of those things are staff intensive to be able to do it, and it does take some time. One of the things we tried to do a couple of years ago was kind of Friday afternoon specials. I don't know that are we doing that anymore?
It kind of, we don't advertise, like we put out flyers throughout the neighborhood. We haven't done that in a couple of years. But it kind of progressed from there. I mean, it's kind of continued on. It's not huge, but like Keith was saying, we get a few people that come out, not just on Fridays, but just throughout the week.
One of the things, in my opinion, about U Creek and Twin Peaks is really in the areas of town that they are, the two golf courses, there's no other competition or opportunity for going to have cocktails or, you know, sit out on the deck, and maybe we need to play that up a little bit more too, because it is some of the best views in town are, you know, and if at sunset you look down number one at the mountains, it doesn't get any better than that.
Sure. No, I agree. I mean, that's what I've heard, you know, from my friends around, and they do play a lot of golf. So, you know, he plays, I think, I don't know what kind of things, doesn't matter, but, you know, uses the golf course for the golf course, but has even said, it'd be great if we come down and get a burger and a beer at Twin Peaks, and we don't, because we don't know if that's available or not. Like,
Well, depends on what time you want to come, but
well,
yeah.
exactly.
You know, I mean, I sat at home at 6 tonight because we weren't really doing anything in there. But the reality of it is, if I mean, during the summer months, somebody's in here all the time.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So yes, reach out, ask me, I'll let you know.
And maybe what
And everything we have, you know, burritos, hot dogs, brats, Italian sausage, most of it can be heated up very quickly.
Okay.
Yeah, or maybe what we do is start a night, like Wednesday night or Tuesday night is taco night, and try to drive people to come, so that the meal's fairly inexpensive, and try to really get the people to buy the drinks and that sort of thing. Just as an example. Maybe you and I can talk some more about that. Any other thoughts or comments? Okay. Thank you. Items from staff, ready to go to there. So
Yes.
Our next meeting is scheduled for October. And we can meet in September if you all want to do that. So just a quick vote, do you want to meet in September or stay with the calendar?
Make a motion to stay with the calendar.
I second, same with the calendar, as written.
Okay. So you want to take a vote?
All in favor of keeping the calendar, the current calendar for meetings? Say aye. Anyone opposed?
So our next meeting would be in October, and we would meet out at the new maintenance building if everybody wants to go out there. Cool.
Do you have the date of that one,
I think
October?
it was the 28th. For October?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the 20th,
28th.
28th.
Yep.
I have to make sure I did it correctly.
That's all I had.
So when you,
Items from the staff, is that where we're at?
Yeah.
I would just real quickly like to just say, all these years at this golf course, 47 years, never had a new irrigation system, didn't really know what to expect this year. And the fact we've had as good a year as we've had, I think is unbelievable. A lot of that goes to Ryan, just keeping this golf course functional enough to play and going out of his way and doing this at both golf courses. Can't say enough. I didn't know what to expect. There was a part of me that thought it would be a lost year, and it ended up being a very good year. And that's really hard to do while you're doing an install. And it was very intrusive early on, but even the construction crew, they have a really good attitude about people trying to stay out of people's way and let people play golf and let the golf be the golf. So I super thankful, because I just want to make sure he gets some credit for that.
Yeah, well,
My
that's
goodness.
amazing.
Him and his whole staff, it's been
an adventure.
Yeah, it has. Every morning, we're not sure what to expect, but we've managed to keep our heads above water and get through the whole thing this summer. So I thank Ryan, and I thank Jeff for supporting Ryan through it all, because it's been tough to have the U Creek project going on, these two projects. It's hard enough to run golf courses, but when you add all that in, that's a lot. So that's all I have.
When you're in the car, where's the access to the new maintenance facility?
Highway 66.
Yeah, there's right off 66?
Yep, go right in there. We ask everybody right in only. Don't try to cross the highway to come in, and then also when you leave, right out, because cars are going really fast out there,
That's
and
bad.
you want to be very careful. There's a parking lot right in front of the building and plenty of space. If there isn't room, go ahead and park up in the asphalt, and that won't be a problem either.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah, just to the east of the third green there.
Yeah, I didn't realize there was access right
Yeah.
off 66.
Yep. Right?
Is it marked?
No, it isn't. But look for the silo and slow down when you're getting close to
Is
it.
there heavy
It's going towards 25.
It looks
Get
good.
past Walmart.
It's really good. Yeah.
It's the first right after Pace.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Right after you
and
have
look
Pace.
for the silo, because that's your marker of where the building is. You can see it from quite a ways down the road. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
That's everything from staff.
All right, so next, any items from the board?
Nope.
All right, motion to adjourn, second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, meeting adjourned.